Hey, it's Greg, and I'm going to explain why intermittent fasting might not be working for you. So, my name's Greg. I'm a health and nutrition coach, and I specialize in helping transform the brain and the body because you can't separate the two. Many have tried, but it never works, right? So, I want to just talk about why intermittent fasting isn't working for you, and I'm going to talk you through a bit of a story about why it might not be working, and you'll understand at the end what you should do about it. So obviously intermittent fasting is everywhere at the minute. Everyone's fasting like a girl. Everyone's following all the doctors. Like, yeah, intermittent fasting is the thing that's gonna get you to the health goals that you want. Okay. But for many ladies, it doesn't work. All right. And let me explain why. Okay. So there's something which is more important than your genetics and your hormones, etc. It's something called epigenetics, right? And I had a client reach out to me a while ago. She's down 3 stone. And before we started working together, she was intermittent fasting, but couldn't get the weight off. She didn't understand why. She was like, Greg, I'm doing everything. I'm following the intermittent fasting. I'm doing the 16/8 stuff, and it just wasn't working. So she was like, well, what's going on? Okay. So here's what we did. We got her to start tracking her blood sugar alongside what she was eating, right? And for those of you who understand about blood sugar, etc., how your blood sugar works may influence your behavior in so many ways that you just don't even realize, right? So what was happening was this: she was trying to intermittent fast. She'd go to work. Okay, so she's a management professional. Yes, she's running a team, very energetic work, very draining and on the brain, etc. If you work in management, you're professional, you'll know this. And what was happening was that by the end of the day, she was hungry, like super hungry. And she was then overeating her calories in the evening. Okay, so she was sitting there, thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to intermittent fast and do all of this stuff. And it wasn't working because what she was doing was being really hungry through the day. Her blood sugar was all over the place. She was lacking in energy. So as the evening came, she would overeat to compensate for missing the meal at the beginning of the day. And actually, there's plenty of studies that show that people that start the day with a protein-rich breakfast actually get amazing results in terms of the weight loss. So that's what was happening. She was really struggling to manage blood sugar. And this is why intermittent fasting doesn't work for everybody. Okay. Because one of the things that most people don't consider, most doctors, PTs, they don't consider just going, right, intermittent fasting has to be the way. And while, yes, it's a great way to manage your calorie intake because you skip one meal and it gives you less time to eat, what it doesn't take into account is your behavior. What do I mean by that? The behaviors you have now being formed over years and years and years and years. So if you've been the sort of person that has breakfast every day, trying to change to not having breakfast represents a big upheaval. And if you know anything about change, change is hard. So you've now gone, right, I'm going to intermittent fast, trying to change what you do. Your body takes time then to adjust to that new schedule. So potentially you might be hungry when you think you shouldn't be hungry. Therefore, you then start to overeat. So what's the big thing here? Well, simply this. The brain, what goes on up in here, is actually more important than the tactical stuff that you try and implement. Okay. And this is why you have to do the two in conjunction. You can't just jump on any old diet without working on how the brain works, because the brain is the master controller of things, whether you like it or not. The brain will control your appetite, it will control your actions through the day, right? Subconsciously. So, this is why you will struggle always to switch to intermittent fasting and why it doesn't work, because your brain is saying, well, hang on a minute, we changed our routine And now we're doing this and I'm missing something. Something's not right. My nutrition, how I'm eating isn't right. So then you overeat your calories in the evening to compensate for what happened in the beginning of the day. This is why intermittent fasting does not work for everybody. It's not that the method doesn't work, it's just that the method that you're trying to put into your routine doesn't align with you as a person. I'll say it again. The diet tactic that you're trying to use, in this case, intermittent fasting, does not align with the method that you're trying to implement for you. And this is why intermittent fasting does not work for everybody. This is why so many ladies fail when they try to restrict in the morning, then they overcompensate later in the evening. And this is a massive reason why intermittent fasting is not the one and only way to start changing your body fat levels. And one of the things I do with the ladies I work with in the Empowered Body Method is we focus on who's the individual. Like, what is different about this individual that means that maybe intermittent fasting shouldn't be the way they go? Because if you've got some of a history of eating disorders or someone's had a bad relationship with food, then putting them on an intermittent fasting protocol is not going to work for them. And I'd imagine that's the majority of the women that I work with have had some form of bad relationship with food. So why then are we going to put them on something that restricts their food? Because in their brain, they're already thinking, well, restriction is good. So what happens is they restrict, skip dinner, skip lunch, overeat in the evenings. But that's not going to help anybody, is it? So that might be one reason why intermittent fasting doesn't work for you. And that's why you need something individual that not only looks after your physiology, your body, but also looks after the brain. You know, if you're the sort of person who trains early in the morning, then intermittent fasting might be actually impacting your performance. And you wonder why you get out of the gym and you're like ravenous. And you're wondering why the cakes that are being passed around HR are causing you a problem. So intermittent fasting is a tool, it's a tactic in a whole suite of different ways that we can work with you to achieve the goal of the energy and the health that you want. Okay? But there's no one size fits all method. And that's why intermittent fasting might not be working for you. So if this has resonated with you, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Drop a comment, let me know what your thoughts on this are, and I'll speak to you all on my next video. Stay strong.